to invite them to file or to tell us why not.
Right.
All he would have had to do is make a phone call. You and I would never have to meet.
Well, and that would be a best case scenario. However,
And
the man did.
You've not told me anything to convince me that the man didn't have a reason to file.
He said that he was not aware of any facts, that if the Franchise Tax Board had any facts to show that he had an obligation to file, then he would go ahead and file. The Franchise Tax Board decided not to present any facts that an obligation was created. Therefore, a legal presumption is raised that the facts not appearing are presumed not to exist.
This isn't a courtyard. This isn't a courtroom. You know, this is not a courtroom. And you and I are not going to argue about this anymore.
I didn't think we were necessarily arguing, Carol.
You can let time take its toll and wait for the protest to go through, and that's all you need to do. If he wrote a letter in protest with protest language, then it will be taken care of in that manner. And the decision will be made, and he will either have to pay taxes or he won't. He'll have to present evidence.
So what you're saying is no one at the Franchise Tax Board has to present any evidence at all?
Certainly not now, no.
Oh, so you can just have what the Supreme Court calls the naked assessment.
I just told you that we receive information from various sources in regards to income. If that income fits the parameters, then we invite them to file or to tell us why they don't need to. Somebody can call me up and say, my kids supported me last year. I said, okay. It's gone.
Who determined that the income was taxable?
It is in a program. Have never used a program?
All right, let me ask you this. I'm trying to get to something specific. Do you rely on a flesh and blood human being as a witness against Mr. Person?
No.
Okay,
Never.
You never do?
Never.
Never.
Never. Unless he wants to take it to court. I'll just hand it over to the lawyers because I don't have anything to say about it.
Well, let me ask you this, Carol.
I have no evidence one way or another.
Oh, okay, no evidence. Well, let me tell you. Let me ask you this. What do you think the attorney is supposed to turn to, or who is the attorney supposed to turn to?
I don't think an attorney needs to be involved at the time it was requested to provide information.
You know, it would really help us both, Carol, if you let me finish what I'm saying first. Now, I work on these cases a lot. I've done it for about 8 years now. I have another case right now going before the Board of Equalization, and I work with and I deal with the attorneys in the legal branch all the time about this. Okay, and who do you think the attorney's going to rely on when it does get to the Board of Equalization, and they are supposed to have a flesh and blood human being as a witness that I can subpoena against Mr. who's already said Anderson has a tax liability? You're telling me right now there's no witnesses. So how could one of your attorneys go? Let me finish. How could one of your attorneys stand up in open court, claim to have a case, yet have no witnesses?
Have you ever heard of a protest period?
Have I what?
Never heard a protest period. A time in which it is given legally to the client to protest any kind of a claim. That's where this account stands.
Yeah,
it's his time to protest. Nothing has taken place legally. No bill has been generated.
Yeah, I understand that. What I'm looking
so
at here,
I don't think that we have anything else to discuss.
Well, I think it's very important here that you've actually said that there's no evidence. That's what you just said. There's no witness. There's no evidence. So if you have no evidence that Mr. Anderson as a taxpayer has any kind of liability whatsoever...
This conversation is over.
Why?
I have other customers to talk to.
Okay. Well,
you and I aren't helping this gentleman.
Oh, I think you've helped him.
All you're doing is stirring the pot.
Stirring the pot? You just said there was no evidence. I would say that if there's no evidence... Hello? Wow.
Okay, continue.
Hello?
Yes?
Yeah, I would just like to continue on this. I mean, if you're saying that there's no
Sure,
evidence,
go ahead.
Yeah. Yes, Carol?
Yes.
If you're saying there's no evidence, then there's nothing really for... I wouldn't see any reason for this to even go to protest. If there's no evidence against Mr. Anderson, then why should it go any further? Because I believe if you look in the Board of Equalization's own cases, that until the assessment is based on facts, i.e. evidence, there's no presumption of correctness, and the burden of proof remains on the Franchise Tax Board until that evidence is forthcoming. So I would ask that this be withdrawn right now. We don't even need to do a protest.
No. You haven't given me a reason to withdraw it.
I just did. I said there was no evidence.
No, you did not give me reason to withdraw it.
So, having
the
no
man
evidence...
lived on disability for the whole year and has no taxable income is reason to withdraw it.
But no evidence against him is not a reason?
This is not in legal action.
I didn't... You said there was no witnesses against him and no evidence against him.
The issue is not in any form of legal action at this time.
I didn't say there was, but you said there were no witnesses.
Then don't tell me to withdraw it.
I didn't tell you to withdraw it, Carol. I asked you to.
Well, I'm not going to.
Okay, so what you're saying is that despite
I have the authority
to
say no.
You have the authority. Okay, and I'm not
say
debating.
No to your request to withdraw.
Okay,
yes.
So let me just make this perfectly clear so I can put this in writing.
Yes, make sure you put that in writing.
What is your employee number?
1132.
1132. Okay. Now, you're telling me with no witnesses and no evidence, you will not withdraw this proposed assessment?
I have not been given a reason to withdraw this assessment.
Okay, so let me just make this clear. No evidence against Mr. Anderson
No,
is
quit
not a reason.
using the word evidence.
That's what you used.
No, it isn't.
Yes, it is.
I have not been given a reason, a reasonable cause to withdraw the pending assessment.
Okay, so let me ask you. A lack of evidence is not reasonable cause to withdraw. Carol?
What?
I just a yes or no. I need a yes or no answer.
No, I don't need to answer.
You don't need to answer that? I
already gave you my answer.
Well, why don't you just restate it clearly for the record? Okay?
I have the authority to refuse to withdraw.
I'm not debating that.
Based on the fact that no one has provided me a reasonable cause to withdraw it.
Okay, so what you're saying is, and just please just yes or no, no evidence and no witnesses are not cause to withdraw an assessment.
I refuse to answer that question.
Why? Because it would be damaging to your case? Come on.
It's not a case. It's not my case. I have no vested interest in this.
Then why won't you answer a simple yes or no question?
Because nobody will give me reasonable cause to withdraw.
I've just told you by your own admission there's no witnesses and no evidence. And then all I want to know is...
Okay.
Okay, what?
You have all you need.
No, I just need a yes or no answer, Carol.
You have all you need and all you're going to get.
I think
this conversation is over.
Carol,
I'm going to move on to the next.
Before you move on, can I have your supervisor's name and number?
No.
Why not?
I'll take your name and number and give it to my supervisor and ask her to give you a call back.
Carol, now you know that's a blow off because
How,
you know she's
how
never
would you
going.
like? How?
She's never going to call me. You know that. I've done it
Oh
many
well,
times.
my supervisor calls customers back.
Well, you know that might be you. That might be true in some other cases. In my experience, I've never had that. You know, in 8 years,
Why
they've
do
never
you
had a
think that
supervisor call
is?
back.
Why do you
Because
think that is?
Because in 8 years, they've never had a supervisor
Because
call me
this
back.
is the way you approach people.
I ask questions. I expect a
You
reasonable
are
response.
hostile.
Hostile?
You are hostile.
I beg to differ. You're the one who sounds hostile, and you're refusing to answer questions. I have not refused to answer any of your questions, Carol. You've refused to answer my questions. That sounds hostile to me. I just want a simple
Okay,
answer to
goodbye.
my question. I think. Hello?